In her first interview in nearly a decade, convicted killer Diane Zamora is finally sharing what she says is the real story of what happened the night she and her boyfriend, David Graham, killed 16-year-old Adrian Jones.
At this point, you've spent more time behind bars than you have in the outside world. What is that like for you?
It's strange. It's something, I talk about a lot with a lot of people because I was so young. I had no experiences out there.
But we wanted to know if Diane was telling us the truth or simply a master manipulator, as prosecutors claimed 20 years ago.
We, the jury, find the defendant Diane Michelle Zamora guilty of the offense of capital murder. Your punishment is hereby set at life in prison.
Analyzing Diane's every word is interview and interrogation specialist Stan Walters. With over 35 years experience, they don't call him the lie guy for nothing. And Stan isn't necessarily listening to what a suspect says, but what he or she doesn't say.
Michelle, one of the things I do when I watch your interviews, I try not to look at the case facts. I want to see what you glean from the subject. Can I envision and see the events in my head as it occurs? If there's something missing, that stands out more to me. Somebody leaving on a block of time, a conversation, a connection.
Now it's time to put those skills to use on Diane's interview.
Let's play it.
I can't even tell you what was going through my mind except that I was just so young and stupid. I was like, yeah, I want to meet this girl. You don't think things through. You don't think, oh, it's really late at night. That's when bad things happen.
Right away, Stan starts noticing little inconsistencies, especially when Diane talks about playing no physical role in the murder.
I feel like that option should always be open for the jury. They should be able to decide what your sentence is because I had no physical part in this.
There's our surgical denial. And that's when you said you jumped that too, you caught that.
Right.
Physical part. Well, tell me about the planning part. Tell me about the conversation you and David had. How long before that night had you talked about it? Day, 2 days, 3 days? Had this been planned? Had it been running in your mind?
Diane initially confessed to hitting Adrian in the head with a weight. At her trial, she was asked if she witnessed David bashing Adrian's skull with the butt of his gun. And during my interview with her, she gave much of the same answer she gave the court.
Did you see that happen?
No, but I saw his elbow come down. I didn't have my contacts in. Oh, I didn't have contacts or glasses at all.
But you were hiding in the back of a car that night, your parents' Mazda, correct?
True, but...
Right there.
But?
Think of the butt as a giant eraser. What I've just said, you may not believe this, but erased everything, says you're not going to believe it. Everything she just said, she just neutralized with that one but.
And Stan's not done with this area of our interview. He refers to it as a hot moment, taking special note of Diane's familiar physical and verbal reenactment of the violent blow.
The piece about David striking Adrian, that same action, even where she raised her arm in your interview, it's exact same wording. To me, it sounds like it's a rehearsed segment. And that's key to her whole defense about the blow to the head.
A defense Diane was sticking to throughout our interview.
What was your role in all of this? Were you there? Did you participate?
I was there.
You were there.
I didn't hit her in the head with a weight.
Did you see that happen?
She didn't get hit in the head with a weight. She got hit in the head with the butt of David's gun.
Stan believes that Diane's initial confession to cops about hitting Adrian with a weight is the truth and most consistent with Adrian's injuries.
I'm not a forensic pathologist, but the butt of a gun's not going to do that with one stroke. Her face caved in, her skull caved in. This part of the brain, if you remember several of the studies and watching homicide courses, this is a very, very thick part of the skull. And it takes a tremendous amount of force compared to the other part of the skull. It's thickest here. For that to be caved in, that's a lot of power.
But what about other details of that night? Smells, sights, and sounds.
Did she cry for help?
I didn't hear her. I'm sure she did, but I didn't hear her.
How are you sure? What makes you think she was sure? And then that would be a great point with the limited time you have. to see what would happen if we pursued that spot or circle back to it
Oh, my
as the
goodness.
interrogator. Here's the truth. Here's the story. And when it doesn't quite work and doesn't match up, the brain says, we got to straighten out this incongruence. And that's where the modifications keep coming in that you're hearing.
And then there's this revealing exchange.
Did you ever ask David to kill her?
No, but I did wish her dead at one point, and I think that it went from there.
From there,
That just jumped out at me. I wished her dead at one point. It went from there. There's the plan.
There's the plan.
There's the seed right there.
I wished her dead at one point. She probably
And it proceeded from there.
maybe told David, and that's where it stemmed from. That's where the seed was planted.
We're inside the head of the subject.
We are.
and while Stan discovers several inconsistencies and omissions, it's now the moment we've been waiting for.
Do you believe Diane was lying to me in her interview?
She was being evasive by not letting you get close enough. It's easier to be evasive than flat out deceptive, because denial, deception is either black, white, 0, 1, plus, minus. Her emotional manipulation leaves a lot of uncharted area, unstated boundaries to float around in.
No one will ever really know what happened that night except for the 3 teenagers who took a ride on a dark Texas road to have their lives forever veered off course.
When are you eligible to get out of prison?
As of right now, it would be 40 flat years, so it wouldn't even be for 20 more years.
You still have another 20. And that is, it's not a guarantee.
They could leave me in forever.